Greetings, Moors, and happy holy day on this day of Jupiter. And as you can see, I'm using a different platform. I'm going to test this to see how this works. YouTube kind of has their own funky thing, like Facebook does. So I'm going to try it before I have to go to another platform. But anyway, greetings to everyone. I want to introduce myself if you're new to my page. I'm Antitutal. I'm from North Gate. And we just have time out for a lot of nonsense, and we are going to have to get this thing right. We only get one chance at this life, and if we don't learn the life lessons, we come back and do it over again. We do it over again. We do it over again. We keep doing it over again until we're like the hamster on the wheel. We just running, but we ain't going nowhere. We got to get this thing right. We have to learn our lessons. We have to get this thing right. There's too much knowledge and information out there for us to correct the behavior and do things the right way instead of just keep making the same mistakes and allowing those with an agenda to continue using us as puppets. So we're going to have to get this thing right. So peace and love to everyone. And before I begin, I always want to reach out into that cosmic mind, and I want to welcome in any knowledge that is beneficial to sustainability, to preservation, to do what is necessary so we can function in compliance with nature, with the cosmos. That's really the main thing as far as being on this planet. Being in compliance with nature. You have to be in harmony with nature. If you're not, you're going against it, and nature will win, always. I mean, it's just too much history out there to see how the law of cause and effect, what we call karma, how that works, the law of mentalism, all of that is for real. Now, I'm going to read to you real quick. I've read this before. And this is from the Zodiac Constitution that was given to the Moorish nation by Charles Mosley Bey. He was an adept who studied under Noble Drew Ali at the Moorish Science Temple and at the Old Canaanite Temple. All right? And after Noble Drew Ali's death, he put out the Zodiac Constitution for the Moors because he saw what was going on after Noble Drew Ali's death, and he had done this, and it shook the system. And this is information they did not want you to know. So I'm going to read to you Article 2 and Article 3 of the Zodiac Constitution of the Moors. Article 2, Zodiac Constitution, birthright of the Moorish American, the Bays and the L's, since the 12 jurymen of the 50 Union States Magna Carta document of white supremacy and the 9 judges of the Supreme Court were founded upon the Moorish Zodiac 12 signs mathematical constitution, the lawmakers have no jurisdiction over the free Moors, the Bays and the L's, in the inherited land of the Moorish nation, namely U.S.A., Canada, Central and South America. The Moorish American nationality and their surnames, Bay and L, are their inherited birthrights without a legal due process of the lawmakers of the Union Society, U.S.A. What our Moorish forefathers were, we are today without a doubt or contradiction, namely Moorish. Article 3, tax and military exemption for the Moorish Americans, the Bays and the L's. The Moors, referred to as Negroes, definitely can never become members and citizens of the Union Society of the 48 States. Therefore, they cannot be forced or drafted into the Union, U.S.A., Army, or military service to fight for the Magna Carta Code of the white supremacy against themselves. The lawmakers of the 48 States Union Order cannot force the Moors, the Bays, and the L's to pay taxes because taxation without representation is a supreme violation of the Moorish Zodiac Constitution, birthrights of Islam. When the Union lawmakers denounce their immoral Magna Carta Code and resort to the Moorish Zodiac Constitution, the Moors are compelled to pay taxes because everyone of the nation will be equally represented by it. There is no room in the science of Masonry, the Zodiac, for mystic God religious worship, race, color, ignorance, war, crime, slavery, and human injustice. Now, I read that to you because, Moors, this is your constitution. You have to understand governmental principles, how government works, how the law, the supreme law is set up. There's a difference between feudalism, and there's a difference between corporate statutes and codes and the supreme law. All law is what? Divine law, natural law, jurisprudence, maxims of law, common sense. All law. That surpasses any other law, because all that other stuff is colorable, all that other stuff is corporate. At the whim, drop of a hat, they could change something to benefit themselves, and you will be the one that must comply, because colorable laws and corporate statutes and codes are set up that way. All right? It's not there for your benefit. It's there for someone else's benefit, who you never meet and who you support. Every day you get up and go to work, you're supporting them. That's how that works. All right? Now, I'm testing this video to see how well it records and the playback and all that. So I'm not going to give too much information, but I want to share a little bit of information with you, because my experience with Facebook now is just ridiculous, because it seems like every word that I say gets muted. And when I'm sharing information with you, they'll just go in and they'll dub everything out so that you can't hear what I'm saying, which is crazy, because I don't cuss. I'm not promoting hate. I stick with the facts. I stick with the law and what we are supposed to do as Aboriginal people on the planet. We learn from the planet we live on, the cosmos, the universe we're in. We teach that to others and we live by it. That's how it works. All right? Now, a lot is going on. When I tell you portals are being opened, you got to know that's exactly what's going on. It's happening a lot. As you go about your day, and I've said this before, play that day back. We have to learn from our behavior. We have to learn from our mistakes. We got to learn from this, folks. We have to do what is right. We don't have the convenience to just kick back and procrastinate. Can't do it. Not today. It ain't gonna let you. There is always been an agenda for certain particular ones on the planet to sort of dominate everybody else. And they do it through mind control. They do it through propaganda, different kind of ways. Like with the mask, for example. They don't give you all the facts, but they tell you be afraid, and people will be afraid. They won't ask any questions. They just go along with it. But today you have to ask questions. You're in the age now, in the age of knowing, where belief is over. During the age of Pisces, all you had to do was believe. Well, that age is done. You're now in the age of Aquarius. So if you know anything about the signs of Pisces from the past age that we were in, now the sign of Aquarius are very different. And although it's known as the water bearer, it's not a water sign, it's an air sign. And an air sign is going to force you to ask questions. You just don't blindly accept. So whatever you may be into in your life, you got to think like an Aquarian. You always are cognizant of things going on around you. If it don't make sense to you, you investigate. Don't wait on somebody else to give you what you're looking for. Don't do that. It's going to bite you. Don't do that. And you're going to find that, like I said before, if you're an O positive blood type, all you got to do is eat a healthy diet, get plenty of rest, drink plenty of water, be good to people, be good to yourself. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Stay away from the soy and the processed foods, the stuff that's killing you and giving you cancer. Don't mess with that. Okay, you're not invincible, but because you are Aboriginal, if you have melanin and you're O positive blood type, You could just do the right thing and go by the law and you're good. All this other stuff going on with people and they got to be so afraid and 6 feet and all that, that's them. The A's, the B's, the ABs, they got to be careful. Your O negatives, they should be kind of okay. Kind of. They still got to be careful. Everybody still got to be careful regardless of who you are. As far as what you put in your body, things like that. Keep the stress down, all that. But if you're A, B, AB, blood type, you may want to wear a mask. I'm not going to say to you don't, because they created this nonsense. But what they fail to know is that it's backfired because of the age that we're in. We're in the age of Aquarius and that Saturn-Pluto conjunction that took place on January 12th. These are slow-moving planets. Anybody that does astrology, anybody that knows the zodiac, if you're a Mason, if you're a Freemason or a Moorish Mason, if you're that, you will know. You're going to know these things. You don't play with Saturn and Pluto. You just don't. So we're in that age now. And if you are of Caucasian descent, if you're of European descent, you're going to find that your body is changing a lot. And there's certain things you were interested in before that you're just not interested in anymore. And there are Moors who have already gone through this process. That's why many of the Moors today, like myself, are asking a lot of questions, making changes in our lives. We've gone back to our nationality. We're no longer Negro, black, and colored. A lot of the Moors are already waking up. With the people of European descent, who you call Caucasian, in the Americas, they will now start going through that process if they haven't done so already. And they're going to start asking questions. They just won't go with the flow like that, in the bandwagon. They're not going to do that. And you're going to find that your relationships are going to change, how you deal with your children will change, how your children interact with you will change. You're going to see big changes in your diet if you haven't done so already. You're going to see things that you used to think was really important are no longer important anymore. You're going to see this happening big time. And like I've told you in the past, because I used to post a lot of videos on Facebook. I no longer do that anymore. So we'll see how this one goes. But the Caucasian males somehow have gotten a bad rap on this planet. And I say that because, not because I'm taking sides, only because Moors, you got to know the whole history before you point fingers. So that's why when I read to you Georgia House Resolution 1203, Line 3, whereas the Moorish Americans, whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family. That speaks volumes. Because then you figure it out that we all come from the same parent. Ham and Cush. Had to start there first. So regardless of what you look like on this planet, it all goes back to the Moors. The Aboriginal people with the copper toned skin. It all falls back there. So that being the case, you want to be in compliance with nature. That's nature. And here in the Americas, you're taught to fight against that. That you're somehow different. You're somehow better. And you're not. You're not. Because you all come from Ham and Cush. Now, what does that mean? It means that with the Caucasian male, like I said, he's been put in a really unusual situation on this planet. Because unlike the Caucasian female, because of her gender, all right, her contract, her agreement with the cosmos is different than the contract of the male on this planet. It's just different. So the lessons that the female Caucasian must learn is totally different than the lessons that the Caucasian male has to learn. And for some reason, the Caucasian male has been stuck in fear so bad. That's where all the prejudice and the hate and the war, that's where all that comes from. It's fear. It's fear-based. And it's deep in the DNA in the Caucasian male. He's been made to be afraid of so much that he probably sleeps with a gun. Because in his mind, the world is against him. And the world wants to destroy him. And he gets part of that innate ability to have this specialized fear. Because if you know history, the Moors, we had a strict class system. Strict. Moors did not play back in the day. Oh, we did many things when the Caucasians were created. Because you gotta realize, the entire planet was all Aboriginal, dark-skinned, brown-skinned people. The entire planet, no matter what continent you were on. And we used to be all conjoined at one time. All the continents. It's called Pangea. Look it up. All the continents were all together. All you had to do is just walk to different ones. That's how all it started. But the Moors got a little bit beside themselves. And I'm going to use the term they wanted to play God. Because we're all gods. You're all reflection of the Creator, regardless. But they wanted to play God. So they created something to serve them. But they had a strict, I'm summarizing now. I'm summarizing literally thousands of years. They wanted to create something for themselves. And then in the process of doing that, things didn't really kind of work out the way they wanted, because what they created was dying. The moment it would come into existence, it wouldn't live long. And the ones that didn't live long were the male gender out of the Caucasian European descent, what we call European descent today. And there were some Moors, not all, some Moors who were very unfair to the Caucasian. And you'll know them through the Yaqub experiment. And Moors, you were not fair to them. Some of you Moors treated them so bad. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to share with you why. Because in their mind, you got to realize, the Aboriginal people is innate in the DNA, the law. There's a certain way you live. There's a certain way you conduct yourself when you interact with others. You always, like Noble Drew Ali taught, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You always do those 5 basic principles in law. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Well, Moors kind of fell away from love and the peace. Huh? Because they would treat them Caucasians less than human. Because they would say, these people, they don't have basic civics. They don't know how to conduct themselves. They're warlike. This is what was written in the ancient texts. What the Moors had to say about Caucasians once they were created and started to populate. And there was a problem because the male gender of the Caucasians would die. Like they wouldn't live a long life at all. So the plan was the Moors would start mixing with the Caucasian women. And when a child was produced, that child from the Caucasian woman and the Moorish male, and vice versa, the Moorish women would mate with those males and create. So all this occurred, and they found that it worked. The Caucasian would not die. So today, Caucasian women normally will outlive the men. But there's a trick to this. And it's something that you should be cognizant of. The Caucasian male, once he returns to the law, because this is what started the problems with the Moors and our class system and them looking down on Caucasians, because you cannot be warlike. You can't get on a planet and just destroy. You can't see something and want it and just want to go take it. There's certain behaviors and things in place in the law and how we live on this planet where you just don't go buck wild and do whatever you want to do. And this has always been a problem between the Moors and what we call the Europeans. So once the Europeans were taught the law and how to conduct themselves on a planet, things could go pretty good. But it's always been an issue. And look at what we got going on today. Nothing's really changed. So did they learn the lesson? Now when I say they, I mean people in general. Because Moors still got to learn love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They still need the law and live by it. Moors, you're not exempt. But the Caucasian male particularly must learn the law. And the supreme law. I'm not talking about statutes and codes. I'm not talking about that. That's corporate. That's colorable. I'm talking about the supreme law. All law. Divine law, natural law, jurisprudence, maximum law, common sense. My Caucasian brothers, if you do that, you get to stay. And not only do you get to stay, you have a chance at the cosmos. Now, many Moors will say, why are you telling them this? I'm saying this because you need to know. All of you. And Moors, stop that. Don't treat them any kind of way. Our ancestors created them. They are your responsibility. You didn't know that, did you? Many of you didn't know that. But if you're an adept, you know that. Because you know the history and how this all started. Because like I said, the entire planet used to be all Aboriginal, brown-skinned, dark-skinned people. The entire planet. I don't care what continent you were on. Everybody else came later. Georgia House Resolution 1203, line 3. Whereas the Moorish Americans, whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family. And that's why a lot of Freemasons will go into their adept chambers and they teach the science and they teach the zodiac and they teach Hermetic principles. They teach all of that, and that comes from Aboriginal, brown, dark-skinned people. You can't escape it. And you must accept that. If you don't accept that, you don't get to stay on this planet. So, folks, do what is right. Slow down. Let your egos and your feelings and your emotions and your beliefs, let that take a hike. You need to know the truth. You need to know facts. And you need to know the law and apply it to your life. Things are going to change. And when they change, you're going to find out quickly that if you don't do that, you're going to be really alone. And not only that, you're going to be really sick. Because that's been the history for the Caucasian male, particularly. Although you will see females go through the same thing. But not as much. The Caucasian male is going to be hit the worst. The worst. You must change. Now, I'm imploring you to do the right thing for yourself. But you must change. You cannot remain how you've been doing. Some of you. Some of you, I'm not going to say all, but some of you know you ain't doing right. Some of y'all know that. Don't lie. Because you're only lying to yourself. You ain't got to prove nothing to me. This is for you. So if you out there, and I told you, watch the booze and watch the drugs. The Caucasian male, it's particularly, I would say this for anybody, but particularly the Caucasian male, because of the lifespan situation, because of what we got going on today, and that conjunction between Saturn and Pluto, the Caucasian male, he must be cognizant of what he does, what he puts in his body, all of that. Because things are going to start shutting down. And if you used to run, get high, get drunk, go out and get laid and all that and do all that, that's done. That's done. You're going to see that you ain't going to, matter of fact, you ain't going to want nobody touching you. That's how serious this is. And if it hasn't hit you yet, check your natal chart. Check the zodiac. Because it's coming. Because the planets are always repositioning throughout the houses. If you don't agree, keep living. If you don't agree, keep living. Peace and love to you. I got to keep this short. I'll see how this plays out, all right, with this video. All right, but peace and love to you. Till next time.